ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Har-ber High School Performing Arts Center. We would like to remind you that Har-ber High is a smoke-free campus. The use of any type of tobacco products is prohibited anywhere on this campus. In addition, we would like to draw your attention to the exit signs located above all exit doors in case of fire. Out of courtesy to others attending this event, we would like to remind our audience that entering and exiting the theater should be kept at a minimum. We ask that all cell phones be silenced or turned off. If your child becomes restless, we ask that you accompany them outside the auditorium. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Susan Buchanan. I'm principal of Helen Tyson Middle School, and I'd like to welcome all of you to the best show in town. These kids have been working so hard, and I know many of you parents and grandparents and family members have listened to them from the start of the year. And if you can think back to, kind of roll it back to September, and think about the sounds that were coming out of those bedrooms and out of all kinds of places in your homes, and you wondered, is this ever going to get better? Well, I have to tell you, it is really, really, really so much better. And I thank you for all of your patience, all of the effort that you put in, because I feel like it takes a huge team to get our kids to where we want them to be. And our school is all about educating the whole child. That's not just math, science, social studies, and language arts. It's also the arts. And we really, really appreciate our band and our choir program and our art program. And those are the things that many of our students, that's why they want to come to school, is because of the arts program. I want to encourage you as parents to continue to support your child, because many of these students that you see up here today will receive scholarships if they stay in the band program, and there's lots more band scholarships than there are football or basketball scholarships. So encourage them. I see a lot of discipline that comes out of being in band, a lot of organizational skills. And I want to thank our tremendous band instructors, Mr. Danny Darrough, Mr. C.J. Morris, Omar, Alonzo, and Brian Watt. All of them are also part of this fantastic team that I get to work with every day. So I want you to sit back, relax, just enjoy the sounds of the evening, and thank you again for coming tonight.
Thank you very much for coming. I'm Mr. Darrough. Many of you know me either through text alerts or Facebook messages, emails, phone calls, but it's an honor to have you here watching our students tonight. This has been a very exciting semester, a very fast-moving semester. I'm not sure if you all feel like it's almost hard to believe it's Christmas time, but for me it's very hard to believe that we're looking at the holiday break just in over a week. If you've been to one of our concerts before, this is going to maybe seem a little bit different to you. And through our discussions with our band staff, even last spring, we had in mind how we wanted to kind of change the format a little bit this year. For those of you who have had a band student before, you've been through this. For some of you who have not had a band student before, sometimes it's hard to know exactly how to help that student at home. So while we're also demonstrating our students' accomplishments to this point in the year, we would also like to show you a little bit about how you can help your student practice at home and hopefully earn one of those scholarships that Mrs. Buchanan was talking about. Our most successful band students are really those students who have a lot of support at home. I'm hoping that you're talking with your student often about what it is that we're doing in band. I'm pretty sure that a lot of them are talking to you about what we're doing in band because this is just a very excited bunch of students. I hear it from administrators, I hear it from other teachers, that the students have been so excited to perform for you tonight. As far as what we feel like the students need at home, we feel like the students need their own practice space. And my classes at the beginning of the year, I said, I'd like you to set aside an area of your home where you can practice. This area should be free of any distractions. We ask that our students get an average of 150 minutes of practice a week. Now that can be when they come in early mornings before school starts, that can be during swarm, or they can find those times at home where they go to their designated practice area and practice as well. I hope that you'll monitor your students when they're at home. Listen for the sounds they're making. Listen if they're constantly playing the very same thing. Okay, if they're constantly playing Mary Had a Little Lamb, tell them it's time to move on. Okay, and I'm sure many of them like to play that, but we are advancing at a very rapid rate here at Helen Tyson. We start band in 7th grade, and band in other school districts a lot of times starts in 6th grade. And so it is our goal as all of the band instructors to move our students through 2 years of study in just the 1 year we have. So we move at a very quick rate of speed. One other thing I want to mention to you is the idea of pass-offs. Their pass-offs are like their golden ticket to go on to junior high band. You might talk to your student about what are pass-offs, if you haven't heard, and talk to them about, well, what are your goals? When are you going to finish them? Where are you at now? And those are some ways that you can help your students at home. Now we're going to do a little bit of show and tell here. And the first thing I'd like you to look at is how a student should properly be sitting when they practice. So students, would you show your parents what excellent A+ posture looks like? So kicked back in the lazy chair, playing on the floor, maybe sitting in a tree, probably not so good. This is what your students need to be looking like when they practice. Now, we're going to demonstrate what it should look like when they properly hold their horn and practice. Students, would you show me a proper playing position? That's what you want to see. That's picture perfect right there. All right, thank you, students. You can relax. We are going to begin a series of demonstrations. This is where the program gets a little bit different. We're going to invite our different instructors up to just do a little bit of a show and tell with each of their student groups that they teach. This has been very exciting for me because I feel like they do a lot of the work and I get to steal the show as the director. I get to stand up here and wave my arms. I think it's very exciting that they get to come and demonstrate what they've been working on in their individual classes throughout the day. So the first person up is going to be Mr. Alonzo in the flute section.
Good evening, buenas tardes. I am Mr. Alonzo, and I am the assistant band director at Southwest Junior High, but I also teach beginning flute here at Helen Tyson Middle School. Now, the flute is part of the woodwind section, made up of clarinets and saxophone, and they are at the top of the woodwind section. That means that since they're at the top, they produce the very high sounds of the group. Now, the flute is such a beautiful instrument, and it's made of obviously very beautiful students, but the group is not just made of girls, it's also got one guy. Yeah. And some of the best flute players in the world are actually men. Now, before they learn how to produce, or before they get to that point to where they're producing notes and playing good, accurate notes and sounds, the first week was spent nothing but on the head joint of the flute to learn how to produce that first sound, to make sure that we develop a beautiful tone. And it's nothing like blowing into a bottle. A lot of people assume that it's just blowing into a bottle, but it's not. It's way different, and the students learn that the hard way. But the first week, I had to listen to this. Flutes, play me a high sound. Ready? And trust me, it wasn't anywhere near that when I first started. Okay? Now play me a low sound. Ready? Good. Good. Now play me a really high sound. Ready? So we're still getting up there. Eventually they'll get it. Some of them have gotten there, but we're gonna get there. Now, I just have to say that they are the most respectful students I've ever dealt with in my life. They can start themselves in a warm-up, which is amazing, which I know they're doing at home because they know how to practice. So without further ado, here is Carol of the Flutes.
And I'm Mr. Darrough again, and I teach both clarinet classes. I get to start my day out with 2 clarinet classes back to back. Unfortunately, I don't have to meet all of them at one time, and it's not because I don't like them, but we're able to get a lot of things done. We talked about what we wanted to present to you, because about the first 2 weeks of class was nothing but holding the mouthpiece and the barrel and making sure that their face and their lips and everything was correct. And we still talk about that daily. The problem is it's a really annoying sound. So we decided to forego that and go to step 2, which was learning to put the fingers down on the clarinet. And we do that very systematically, one at a time. And we're going to do, for a little warm-up, a scale that we do almost daily in class. I like it, they love it, it sounds really cool. And then we're going to play Jolly Old St. Nicholas for you. I thought it was on. Okay, some of your students have been talked to lately about possibly switching over to another instrument. If your child's come home and talked to you about, Mr. Darrow's going to be trying out on the oboe or bassoon, so several students have expressed interest in that, and that's something we're going to hopefully get settled before the Christmas break. And so maybe even starting tomorrow, we'll be trying students out on the oboe or bassoon, and then they'll be coming home and talking to you about how well they liked it, if they could see themselves playing that instrument. So kind of keep tuned. If you're a clarinet parent, you might talk to your student about, are you thinking about the oboe or bassoon? And if you have any questions, please call me. I'll feel free to talk to you about it and answer any questions you might have. Now to Mr. Alonzo and the alto saxophones.
Hello again, and I am also the beginning saxophone teacher. Now, the saxophone is also part of the woodwind section. They're the last part, and they are the crazy breed, I call it. They can be a handful. Even though I only have 5 students this year, they're a handful, I promise. And this year, it just so happens that we have 4 boys and 1 girl, but she is one tough cookie, and she is, man, giving it all she can to the boys, and the boys are hanging on in there with her. Now, learning to play the saxophone is not an easy task. They have to learn how to create the embouchure, and so that first week, just like I spent with the flutes, learning how to produce a good tone, I had to listen to this all week. Ready? promise it didn't listen. It didn't sound like that. Okay. Play it badly. Play it badly so they know what I had to deal with the first week. Ready? Okay. I had to, and that happened a lot. So I had to go to bed like that a lot, and that wasn't fun. Now, the thing, even though we have 5 saxophones, boy, they can be loud. And I'm sure the parents that have them, they're like, oh my word, when are they going to start practicing? When are they going to stop practicing? All I can say is please, I know it's not beautiful in the beginning, but hang in there, and they're going to get better. You know, once they get to that high school level, I promise you, it will be worth it, okay? Now, for you guys, we were going to play Frosty the Snowman.
We are going to move on to our brass family, and we start that by the trumpets. We have about 39 trumpets, I believe, this year, and they meet in 2 different classes. We have I see trumpets before I go to lunch, about 4th block, and then right when I come back from lunch, and they're very excited to be there. And so we're going to demonstrate a little bit about what we do on trumpet. It's a different kind of beast when you have to teach a brass instrument. The first thing we do is make sure that the students can produce a buzz sound with just their lips. And we have to learn, of course, how to read the rhythms and the notes and learn the fingerings and things like that. But one thing that we have been doing almost daily is buzzing the mouthpiece. And when you're at home listening to your student, if they're struggling with something, ask them, have you been able to buzz it yet? If you're a brass parent at all, if you have a trumpet or a French horn, trombone, baritone, or tuba student, say, have you buzzed that? Because it's our goal, and we believe it to be true, that if you can buzz it, you can play it. And we're going to buzz up on the housetop, and then we're actually going to play it. So, but I feel like if they can buzz it, they can definitely play it. The next family of brass instruments I'm moving over to sits over here. This is kind of more the middle section of the band. These are called the French horns. And I kind of had to convince the students that, and I want you all to understand, that the French horn is one of the slowest moving instruments in the beginning. We spend so much time on listening and hearing, matching sounds. The French horn, just a slight variation of your lip can just send you all over the place, and it doesn't sound right. So we spend a lot of time. So there were days in class that I thought, these poor students, I would be absolutely bored if I had to be sitting there listening to that teacher talk. So what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate, like we did with the brass, buzzing. We do this a lot in class. It helps us to really hear those notes before we ever have to play them. And then we're going to play a short excerpt of Beethoven's Ode to Joy from his Ninth Symphony. So let us buzz first, and then we'll impress you with our wonderful French horn sounds. And for those of you who don't know Mr. Watt, I'm going to introduce him and bring him to the stage. You're probably ready for a fresh face. So here's the freshest face. Well, I guess that'd be Mr. Alonzo, but I'm trying to make him feel better. Here's Mr. Watt.
Good evening. My name is Brian Watt. I'm one of the directors at Southwest Junior High School, along with Mr. Alonzo. We appreciate you all being here. I come over 2 blocks a day to teach beginning trombone and beginning tuba. We're going to feature our trombone class right now. And trombone is first of all, you've heard key words tonight like posture. What we're trying to do is empower you as parents to look for things at home with your student. Posture is very important, to sit up straight and tall, front half of the chair, because we're trying to get, these are wind instruments, and you got to use breath support. And the more air we get, the bigger the sound. Big air equals big sound for us. The trombone, as you're watching your child practice at home, you're looking at posture, angle, things of that nature. Also, you're listening for, you want loud. I'm sorry to say that, but you want a loud, big sound, okay? Because it may sound rough right now, but it's going to be refined as we go on. Trombone is a very unique instrument. It's the only instrument in the band that changes notes via slide. As I've told the students during class when we first got the trombones, the slides of the trombones are very, very delicate. A little dent in them will keep them from moving properly. Please reinforce this at home when they're practicing, and make sure that they're taken care of. They know how to, just make sure you're helping them, remind them to take care of this. This is the one thing that the only instrument in the band that can do this. This is called a glissando, and it's one of their favorite things to do. Have you heard that at home yet? You heard that at home? We're also going to feature them now on a song out of our book. You probably hope that you've heard them practicing this at home. This is Good King Wenceslas. One last thing before I give it to Mr. Darrough. Our larger low brass instruments, the trombones, you're getting ready to see the baritone and the tuba. If your child's a bus rider, cannot take some of these instruments on their buses. And we have found time in the morning during swarm, where if they can't practice at home, they can come in during swarm and practice their trombone to keep up. Practice makes us better, right? So remind your child that if they can't bring the trombone home, to get into swarm class and practice. Here's Mr. Darrough.
And it's me again. I think for the last time, actually, just about. Baritones is a class that I get to teach this year. Maybe some of you who were in band previously, Mr. Cavender was coming over and teaching our baritone class, and he is a wonderful instructor. With the opening of Sonora Middle School, it kind of pulled him out there, and so I stepped in this year to teach the baritone class, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. We combine the baritone and tuba class. They are part of the low brass family, and we kind of just venture off to the stage sometimes. Sometimes we keep the tubas and the baritones together, but tonight we're going to feature them kind of each on their own level. So I'm going to start with baritones, and like I said, it's a low brass instrument. Thomas, would you reach your baritone way up in the sky for us real quick? And that's what the baritone looks like. We're going to demonstrate just a nice big sound, and then we're going to play Deck the Halls for you. And as Mr. Watts said, these students have been given a kind of a daily pass that they show to their swarm teacher, to their home base or swarm teacher, and then they can come to the band room during swarm class. So I encourage that, and I see a lot of these students daily doing that, and I encourage you to remind your students to come over and see me during swarm, because we get some great one-on-one help during that time. And here's Mr. Watt with the tuba class.
Also, if these instruments can't be put on the buses, the next best thing is to take a mouthpiece home. In your child's band book, there are 2 CDs that has accompanied lines for each individual exercise in our book. The next best thing is to have a mouthpiece there buzzing to stay in shape and buzz along at match pitch. So if they can't get their tuba home or trombone home or baritone home, this is the next best thing, and you can help us remind them with that. The last group of the brass family is the tuba. It is the largest. Let me show us the largest instrument. Larger instrument, the lower the sound. The tuba sounds like this. Like a B-52 flying over, doesn't it? Again, the larger the instrument, they also have little stands that they can set these on. These are obviously very big instruments, very expensive instruments. Again, talk to them about maintaining. They know how to take care of it, grease slides, oil valves, things of that nature, and make sure we keep these instruments maintained. The tuba selection this evening is not quite a Christmas song, but it's something we have fun playing. So we're going to put this. We've called it Fred. I don't know if that's the real name of it, but we call it Fred. Here we go. Fills your heart with holiday cheer, doesn't it? Our next group, and I'll introduce the assistant director here at Har-ber High School, and also teaching our percussion class is Mr. Morris.
Good evening. My name is C.J. Morris. I do teach the beginning percussion class at Helen Tyson. And it's been a pleasure working here in the Springdale School District for my first year. I have 13 percussionists in my class. I call them my lucky 13, not my unlucky 13, because they're so good. During the first year, they're required to be proficient at not just one instrument, but 2, mainly, one being the snare drum and one being the melodic keyboard instruments. Emily, play the snare drum for us a little bit. Play a couple of notes. Yeah, and Matt, just a couple on the keyboard instrument. So those are the main two instruments they're required to learn during their first year because they require a lot of time and focus. I've arranged a Christmas song, We Wish You Merry Christmas, for the percussionists that incorporate those two instruments and a couple other percussion instruments. Hope you enjoy.
Before we conclude our concert, and yes, it's almost over. Ours go pretty quick around here. I need to, the students are kind of making some adjustments back in the percussion section, and I know they'll do that quietly and quickly. I wanted to address or acknowledge a student who was left off of our program tonight. And she wasn't really left off the program. She came to our school just 3 days ago, maybe even 2 days ago. And I said, welcome to Helen Tyson. You have a concert on Thursday. Here's your shirt. Here's your music, and we'll see you at Har-ber High School. The young lady moved in from Sonora Middle School, but I do want to welcome her to our band. It's Noelia Flores. Noelia, would you stand up real quick and let me embarrass you real well? One other thing that we would like to do at this time, I mentioned earlier on in the concert that we have pass-offs that the students work on throughout the year, and that is their golden ticket to go on to Southwest Junior High. And we work on those pass-offs weekly with the students, and the idea is that as they proceed through the pass-offs, they become more difficult, and they're learning new techniques and more concepts. We have some really big go-getters this year. And I promised those students that if they finished their Red Book pass-offs, which means their entire first year of study of pass-offs, by the Christmas concert, that we would have them stand and be recognized for those efforts. It is a huge accomplishment because there are many things in the book that I have not taught them yet, which means they've taken a great deal of initiative on their own to either find help, to get help, or to figure it out and learn the rest of those pass-offs. And so I would like, since it's such a big deal, I would like to acknowledge those students and ask them to stand. And if you all would hold your applause until we finish naming all of the students, then we'll applaud all together. First is Rose Adams in the flute section, if you'd stand, Rose. And then Amy Chacon in the clarinets, Bianca Hernandez in the clarinets, Heather Stamper right behind me, right to my side, Megan Cross, who is right behind her, and Josue Avalar. These are all trumpet students. And then we would move back, and the percussion's going to give you a big hand wave. We have several of those. Alondra Altamirano, Benji Baugh, Jocelyn Flores, Jenna Head, Jack Jasinski, Lexi Powers, Matthew Skirto, Emily Wilson, and Stuart Wright have all completed their first year pass-offs as of today. Could we give them a round of applause? For those of you who don't know it, this is my second year at Helen Tyson Middle School and teaching in the Springdale School District. Ms. Buchanan also mentioned something about a team that she works with. We've all had those jobs sometimes that they're just people that we really don't like to work with very much. You know, we have to wake up in the morning and think if we have to see that person's face one more time. And I can't say that. Now, have I been able to say that in past jobs? You betcha. The team that I get to work with, not just at my school, but with Mr. Ford, Mr. Morris, who comes over from Har-ber High School. We have a great team all the way from the middle school level and to the high school level. And I want you to know that all of us are very committed to seeing your students succeed. And it's the goal that we come to school each day with. And that's why tonight we wanted to change this, because we want your help. We want us to have a team, not only amongst ourselves, but a team with you all as well. So that's why we want to encourage you to listen to your children at home. Encourage them to play for you. Talk about what's going on in band. These students are very capable of earning those college scholarships. But they need my support, they need your support, and they need to stay in band as we go through the next years. So we have a great team working here at the school, and we hope to really develop that great team with you, not just this year, but as your students progress all the way through. We'd like to thank tonight all of you parents for being here, for the support, for allowing us to work with your students each and every day. I would like to also thank Jeremy Ford and the entire Har-ber staff that have set everything up. We walked in to see all of the chairs and all of the stands perfectly placed tonight. And I'd like to just stop right there and thank them with a round of applause, because they worked so hard. And most importantly, I would like to take a moment and thank my administration at Helen Tyson, Ms. Susan Buchanan, Ms. Stephanie McConnell, and Mr. Shane Taylor. They know I have some crazy ideas sometimes. But I tell you, each one of those administrators believes in what they do. They do what they do because they love your children. You know, I will email Ms. Buchanan or Ms. McConnell or Mr. Taylor, and I'll check, and at 9 and 10 o'clock at night sometimes I will be getting replies from them. So they love what they do. They love the band program. They love the choir program. They love being part of that Helen Tyson Hornet team. So thank you very much for being here tonight. We're going to finish out our program with Boom Boom Stomp, and you're going to absolutely love it. I love it, the kids love it. As you leave tonight, there is, well, my wife out there, you can stop and meet her if you'd like, is selling our Helen Tyson Middle School ornaments. Those are $5. Please stop by and grab one of those. Last I checked, we didn't have a whole lot left. There's also information about smart music. Some of your students have been talking about smart music. There's some instructions on how to sign up for that if you would like to do that as well. So again, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for supporting your child's endeavors in music, and we hope to see you again next semester. Help us clear out back here, but they will meet you in front here shortly. Thank you again for being here tonight.